Have you noticed that something just feels off about our communication patterns these days? That many people you communicate with, whether it be online or in person, seem to just not really be connecting with one another. The general idea that you convey a message, they get the message back, that back and forth just doesn't feel like it's happening in a natural human way. Well, one of the things that I'm concerned about is that over the past 30 years, we have increasingly resorted to more asynchronous communication patterns. This includes your forums online as well as social media and text messages. And what happens is that in those forms of communication, people can really post whenever they want to. It's really at your convenience. So you don't necessarily have to listen, you don't necessarily have to hear someone out. You just post what you want when you want. And one of my fears is that's getting people accustomed to this idea of communicating this way even when they're in person. In general, making people accustomed to the idea of I have the thing that I want to say and I say it at my convenience. I say it when I want to say it. And you probably have noticed this more and more, even in person interactions with people who have increasingly interacted more online or over text messages. You're not waiting for your turn to talk. You're not listening to what someone's saying. It's just a matter of each person saying what they want to do whenever they want to say it. Now, I don't want to discount it. There are some conversations that happen in some of these forums and text messages that are real meaningful and can really get to the bottom of a bunch of issues, but frankly, it's not required. It's not something that needs to happen. Anyone can just say whatever, and you don't even have to say anything relevant to the topic. How many times have you been on a forum or one of the social media sites, or even in a conversation more and more, where you're talking about something and someone just interjects something that has nothing to do with anything you're talking about? Well, this prevents anything from getting truly in depth. And one of the things I'm concerned about is that these communication patterns that have increasingly really failed to connect people, failed to really dig deep into an issue, are actually causing our relationships to deteriorate a little bit because we're not actually having that deep heart to heart with a person. We're not understanding someone on a deeper level. We are really just taking turns posting essentially. And it's especially true with people who get more and more chronically online, and these patterns, they don't suddenly go away when someone closes their computer. If you're so used to this pattern, you're going to communicate with someone that way regardless. And of course, lived experience kind of speaks for itself in a way that we can look at charts like this one and see that the amount of time that we spend with friends really started declining a few years after we all started getting smartphones. What does that have to do with it? Well, smartphones were the time when this asynchronous communication pattern could really happen at any time and at our convenience. Sure, before 2008, we had those flip phones where you could text, but all the text required, remembering the different numbers. And we all know terms such as 143 used to exist, which really was supposed to be a short way to say I love you because it was so much harder to text. Once that all became easier and became ever present, people got used to that form of communication. And of course, we spent less and less time with friends. And this applies to every single generation out there. Also, unfortunately, when you can't build as deep of relationships, well, you're not going to have as many partnerships. You have to build a deep relationship with a person you're going to marry or even cohabitate and live with. And one of the things we also see is more and more people living alone, which is unfortunate. Now, to rebuild our human connection, obviously, we need to reclaim our time. We need to stop spending so much time just scrolling through social media and get out there and be present with the people around us. But we also need to have better conversations with people. We need to have them synchronously in person where we listen, we hear out what people say, and we respond in a manner that really adds to the conversation. And this will help us build better relationships. And of course, I always offer to help people reclaim that time, help people to spend less time on these addictive platforms by going to my website. Thank you so much.